Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Hello, everyone. JLR investigates with the breaking news. Massive arrests. Aurora, Denver, Colorado area. Tren de Aragua. Come on in, come on in. Migrants rounded up. At least 50 arrested in a massive raid. We're going to talk about arrests, migrant gang arrests. But first, I do have to, while I was preparing this live, folks, unfortunately, we have another type of mass shooting that occurred in Elkhart, Indiana. So I just want to touch on that a little bit. We're going to learn a little bit more about what happened in Elkhart, Indiana. Apparently, there was a supermarket there called the Morin Supermarket, and 3 people are dead, and 2 officers, 2, are injured in some sort of shooting that happened inside the supermarket, apparently, at the supermarket. So, this is the case. I do not see any live streaming there. I don't see any media there putting live feed. So, lack of information. However, I do feel like there will be a press conference coming up, and also the person responsible for this shooting, we will definitely get the person's name pretty quickly before everyone else, like we always do, and then share that to all of you. Who is the suspect? It's not safe anymore, like we've been saying. It doesn't matter where you live. You have to be on your guard at all times. You have to stay vigilant at all times, whether you're in the suburbs, in the country, in the inner cities, wherever. These shootings pop up everywhere. We are living in a different world that we're not used to. Don't let the politicians fool you saying that crime is down. That's hogwash. Hogwash. Anyway, there is a situation in Elkhart. Let's just touch on that real quick and just get an understanding. I have a short clip, but they're saying 2 officers shot and a shooter is deceased in a shooting at Martin's Supermarket in Indiana. So let me just put this in. This is apparently at a supermarket in Indiana. No information has been released about the shooter. So some sort of shooting that occurred at the supermarket. Not good, people. Not good whenever you got these shootings. I always said stay away from Walmarts because it's just wild. But scrolling down the feed here, it looks like there was a huge police presence in Elkhart, Indiana. So we don't know anything about this at this time, but they will be giving a press conference before. They gave a really quick, an officer there gave a really quick briefing on that. We could play that first if you want. We want to stay in tune with the breaking news of what's going on. Man, I'm telling you, people, it's best to just do Amazon and just do DoorDash and just do Instacart and all that stuff and just have that stuff sent to you, man, because I'm telling you, these shootings are popping up. There's mentally unstable people. There's criminal migrants running around, criminals, habitual violent offenders running around that, should be in prison for their 3 strikes, and they continue to get slaps on the wrist. It's just a wild world. I think COVID has changed the dynamics, everything 2020 on. It's just wild. It's not safe. I'm actually scared about covering the Super Bowl in New Orleans that's coming up that me and Magnolia are going to. But this is an update real quick before we get into the migrants. Massive migrant arrest. There's a lot going on. We're going to share criminals' faces, talk about the migrant situation. I just want to talk about Elkhart, Indiana real quick for people jumping in, because we like to stay attuned and ahead of the game and ahead of the curve on JLR Investigates.
Behind us, as you can see behind us, it's a sad day in Elkhart. We have a situation that occurred at the Martins on, on Junior Achievement Drive. There was a shooting situation inside the Martins. 2 individuals were pronounced deceased inside. We have a suspect that was believed to be the suspect in this incident. He is also deceased. We had a couple officers that were involved and engaged the suspect. They sustained gunfire. At last information, they were in stable condition. At this point, as you can see, we are still working on interviewing witnesses. Anyone with information can call the Elkhart Police Department or the Elkhart County Homicide Unit. The Homicide Unit has been activated and is here. They will be taking over the investigation. As I mentioned, we still are investigating here, but it is no longer an active scene. There's not believed to be any further danger to the public at this time. I will be giving an update in a couple minutes when I have a little bit more information, but I just wanted to say our thoughts and prayers are with the people affected. It's a sad day in Elkhart, and we appreciate everyone's patience as we get this information out. We'll release more information as we're able to do so.
Did this happen inside the store? Or?
Yes, that is the information I have, correct.
Not out in the parking lot.
I cannot specify that this time. I just wanted to make sure the public was aware that there were deaths sustained. The suspect, we believe to have been the suspect involved, is also deceased, working on getting more information out.
And did you guys, for both the officer and the suspect, was aid rendered before they were sent to the hospital?
That I do not have information on. I do know that our officers were taken to the hospital. Last information I had, they're believed to be in stable condition. Our thoughts and prayers are with our law enforcement family. We have a lot of, as you could see, members of our law enforcement community that came out in support and to assist with this matter, and we will release more information shortly.
So are officers hurt? Or?
2.
That's what I mentioned. We had 2 officers that unfortunately sustained gunfire injuries during this incident. They, at last information a couple minutes ago, are in stable condition, thankfully, but I'm working to get more information on that.
Do you know?
Hospital?
We'll get more information as we're able to do so.
So she doesn't have much information. She's crying. She was about to cry.
We had 2 individuals that were pronounced deceased inside the store. We have a suspect that was engaged by law enforcement officers. He is believed to be the suspect, and he is deceased. We had 2 officers that unfortunately sustained gunfire injury. Were believed to be in stable condition at last information.
Sorry, and just to clear, so it's the suspect and then 2 other individuals, or the suspect was also the one that was deceased?
2 deceased individuals, and then a deceased suspect.
3.
Who is believed to be the suspect. That information is all, of course, being verified, but that is the information that we have right now.
So in total, 3 deceased?
Correct.
This just happened, folks, in Elkhart.
There's no longer a threat to the public as of this
Correct.
point.
There's no longer a threat to the public. It is an active and ongoing investigation, however, and as I mentioned, the homicide unit has been activated.
And is there any information you can provide us on the person that was sent in the ambulance earlier?
No, I cannot provide information at this time. I'm sorry, I did not see who was taken in the ambulance. As I mentioned, we did have 2 officers that unfortunately sustained gunfire wounds, and they were taken for medical attention, believed to be in stable condition at last information.
And they came to the scene, they weren't on scene when it was going on?
So it doesn't matter
We'll
who's in
release more
power,
information
folks.
as we're able to do so.
These mass shootings keep happening.
All right, thank you.
Doesn't matter who's in power unless you get tough on crime. That was out of Elkhart, Indiana. I just wanted to, again, I'm sure a lot of people are coming in the chat and they're like, what's up with the migrant gangs? I just wanted to touch on that real quick. It's a suburb of South Bend. So we're talking, Gary, Indiana, South Bend, Indiana type of area, Elkhart. So just for people that are jumping on, there has been some sort of terrible shooting, crime-related shooting at the Martin's Supermarket, Elkhart, Indiana. 3 people dead, 2 people, the suspect, the shooter is dead, and 2 officers were injured or wounded in a shootout, apparently with the suspect. So Elkhart, Indiana, northern Indiana. So I don't know any other more information on that. Who's the suspect? Wouldn't be shocking if the suspect was a migrant, right, or illegal. But we'll see who the suspect is. We'll see who the suspect is once that name comes out. So stay tuned for that. Our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in that community. They said it's a very small community. How many people are in Elkhart? There's probably like just a few thousand. I don't think Elkhart population. Let me just see. Martin Supermarket. If you got something that's called Martin Supermarket, you would think that there's not a lot of people there. Well, it's 50,000, 53,000. That's a lot, right? That's pretty big. That's about the amount of people that cross in the United States illegally that are in Chicago. But 53,000 migrants, right? 53,000 is pretty big. It's a pretty big city, right? All right, so let's go back to what regular schedule programming, folks. Come on in. Massive migrant gangs being rounded up all across the country. Continuous coverage of this migrant crisis or response to the migrant crisis, we would say. We've always been in a migrant crisis in the last 4 years, actually. I went down to the border for the first time in February of 2021. February 2021, about 1 month after Biden got inaugurated, I went. It was like towards the end of February. I went down to, I took with a congressional, somebody that ran for Congress in Florida, and we took a private plane and another gentleman that owns a business, and we went to McAllen, Texas. Went to McAllen and Brownsville, Texas. And what we saw was shocking to the core. Just 1 month after Biden came into office, just 1 month, people were literally coming across the Rio Grande down there in Brownsville, McAllen. And then at the time, we were still going with COVID, and there was some weird things going on, man. People would get funneled, and Border Patrol would funnel and channel these people to Catholic Charities, which is in McAllen, in downtown McAllen, Texas. And they would be like dropped off in buses every 10 minutes. Just 100 people in a bus every 10 minutes, 10 minutes, new bus, and it was going literally around the clock, all through the day, all through the night. These people would be loaded off the buses. They'd go into these like COVID testing camps or whatever like that. They had these COVID testing camps, and what was so weird was if they took a COVID test, and if they were positive, they would then get taken to hotels at the taxpayers' expense. And these hotels were all shutting down, and there was all these hotels filled up with COVID patients, illegals, migrants, whatever you want to call them. And then if they tested negative, they would be ushered across the street to Catholic Charities. They would go to Catholic Charities for about a day, and then Catholic Charities would march them out across the street to the bus station, and then all these people would get on buses and go to cities across America. It started then. And from that point on, we subsequently went to the border I've been to the border about 7 or 8 times, 7 times, 7 different times from 2021 all the way on. The last time we were there was, I think we were there in the summertime in Cumba, California, me and Magnolia, a few months before the election that we just had. We were in California. That was the last area, San Diego. Southern California. But, in the course of those 4 years, numbers are out there of how many people actually cross in the United States illegally. Some people say 11 million, some people say 7, some people say 15, some people say higher. I could say from my opinion, just on my opinion about being the border and seeing all these cities and the numbers and the amount of people that crossed in, I would honestly think the number that crossed into the United States illegally was probably about 15 million. 15 million in 4 years. That is a lot. So who are these people? As we seen them, yes, I've seen women and children. I've seen families, purported women, purported families. We've seen women. I've seen children. I've seen children come across without parents, with people claiming they're their parents, families, purported families. But it was crazy because the majority of the people that we've seen coming across the border, of all the times we went to the border, were men that were like 20 to 30 years old, tattoos all over their arms, sometimes on their face, real rough and rugged, right? And we're like, who are these people? Well, we've been waving the flag and blowing the whistle in the last year and a half saying, yo, particularly El Paso and Santa Teresa, these people are coming in. They're gang members, man. They're Tren de Aragua, right? Tren de or MS-13 or gang members or terrorists. And they're going to go to cities near you, and they're going to actually go to communities near you. And lo and behold, that's what they did. And one hot spot, Denver, the Denver metropolitan area, Adams County, Aurora, Colorado. And I don't even know if I still say that right. Aurora, Colorado. And we've been covering Aurora, particularly, in the last few months when, you finally got some city commission people there saying enough is enough. You got the takeovers, the migrant takeovers of the apartment buildings, the crime escalating. We've been covering that. And one of those, all those spots in Aurora and Denver too. Denver's healthcare system almost crumbled. Denver had tons of people across the United States illegally, nowhere to go, no money, thrown them out on the streets. They would outsource them to neighboring communities like Aurora and other places. And, we were like, okay, well, this is a hot spot. Per capita, there's a lot of people that crossed in the United States illegally and went to New York City and Chicago, big cities, big cities. But per capita, more migrants and illegals went to Denver than any other city in America. They flooded Denver. They flooded them to a core. Big time. So we figured that, when this next administration comes in, they're going to target Denver. ICE is going to target Denver. And, we heard a little bit of resistance from Mayor Johnston, who we talked about. He was talking a bunch of crap where he was going to defy ICE and get the mama bear citizens, the Denverites, to lock arms and protect the migrants. And that all was just a bunch of nonsense and talking, and never even happened. Case in point, because this happened, folks, in the Denver area. Massive migrant arrests. 50. It's being reported. In the last 24 hours, there was a raid at some sort of makeshift nightclub in the Denver area, where it was like a gang hangout spot for Tren de Aragua, which is the violent Venezuelan gang, right? It's a prison gang. Tren de Aragua. And Venezuela released all the prisoners and basically told them and pointed and said, you go to America, get out of our country. And the baddest of the worst apples came into the United States of America. Tren de Aragua. They're involved with human smuggling, fentanyl, drugs, prostitution, you name it. Everything and anything that they're involved with. Burglary rings, crime, out the wazoo. And that's what they're involved with. And they've been poisoning the Denver area. And politicians, they nothing to see here. Everything is well. This is just a small area. We got it contained. Yeah, right. ICE and the incoming administration has had enough. And they targeted the area. And oh boy, they targeted. This is the article coming out of the New York Post. Plus, we got some videos on it. Feds round up 50 Tren de Aragua members in a makeshift nightclub in Denver as nationwide ICE raids bust child RAPISTs and suspected ICE terrorists. Oh, these guys are beauties. Some of these people. We got mug shots of some of these people. Oh, they're beauties. Suspected ICE terrorists. Tren de Aragua, ICE. We'll just hold up this guy's mugshot while we talk about what's going on. Look at this guy. He's one of them that got rounded up. Oh, he's a beauty, isn't he? He's a beauty. Would you trust this guy watching your kids? Would you trust this guy being your neighbor? Would you want this guy watching your kids or being your neighbor? Right? Federal agents rounded up a dozen members of Tren de Aragua in an overnight raid on a makeshift nightclub in Denver after the vicious Venezuelan gang terrorized the city and the suburb of Aurora. The DEA said agents in Colorado interrupted an invite-only party where dozens of gangbangers were cutting loose in Adams County, just outside the Denver city limits. The bust netted cash, weapons, guns, drugs, including Tusi, T-U-S-I, which is called pink cocaine. These Tren de Araguas had pink cocaine. They were literally poisoning our youth, poisoning our Americans with pink cocaine, a powerful narcotic that the gang has played a major role in distributing across the United States. Pink cocaine, folks. Video released by the DEA's Rocky Mountain Division showed a white bus full of the busted gang members being escorted on the snowy roads by law enforcement. Here's a picture of the bust. We love the Daily Mail. I don't know how they get these picks, but they got them. Tren de Aragua, busted, handcuffs. Tren de Aragua in a pop-up party, right? An invite-only pop-up party. And here they are. Yep. And you know what they're saying? They're saying that this operation, I like this. It's an operation called Operation Return to Sender. Return to Sender. Operation Return to Sender. I like that, right? Operation Return to Sender. You know what Return to Sender means to me? This is what Return to Sender means to me. Getting on ICE planes or military planes and going back to where you came from. Operation Return to Sender. That's what Operation Return to Sender means to me. You get returned to where you came from. And these countries, whether they like it or not, they're going to take the people back. Because the incoming administration made this perfectly clear, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to defy and play little games with the federal government, the incoming Trump administration, the Trump administration will just punish you economically with tariffs and travel bans and visa. You can't get visas. That means ordinary citizens from these countries will not be able to enter into the United States. And all goods, 25% tariff temporarily, and then it moves and shifts up to 50% tariffs. That will cripple them economically. Again, I'd rather have illegals out of this. And people say, what about the coffee? What about the Colombian coffee by Juan Valdez? The Colombian coffees. We're talking about Colombia in general. Okay, cool. Your coffee will go up. Your coffee will go up. Guess what? We all should cut down on coffee a little bit. It's not good for you to drink coffee all the time. I don't think. I'm starting to get stomach ulcers. And two, would you rather have illegals in this country running amok with cheap coffee or no illegals with expensive coffee? I choose the no illegals with the expensive coffee because you know what? The Trump administration will probably counter that by growing their own coffee on U.S. lands. Remember, Trump has told these other countries, you want to come do business in the United States? Come on in. 15% tax rate, cheapest in the world. Come on in. Cheap taxes for people that want to have American manufactured products, American crops, coffee. So screw your coffee, Colombians. We don't want your crap. I mean, I like it. It's good. But I'd rather have no illegals in this country. We don't have to depend off your coffee. We can get coffee from Vietnam. Brazil's the number one coffee import from Brazil is number one. Vietnam's actually number two. And then Colombia's number three. Let's get it from Vietnam. Brazil's acting funny too now because Brazil's like, oh, okay. They've been deporting this country has been deporting illegals back to Brazil. And then the Brazilian government's all outraged because when they arrive, they're in handcuffs. And they're like, oh, these guys' human rights were violated on the plane because they were shackled and some people fainted. Don't come to the country illegally. You can't just go to any country you want to go to. You can't walk into any country, well, maybe some, but most established countries, you can't just walk in and say, I want to be here. You can't just do that. You know what they would do to you? You would get 0 human rights. If you walked into North Korea or any country, they'll do whatever they want to you. You can't just go in there and they'll kick you out. They'll kick you out. I'll tell you something what's really, really crazy, right? I'll tell you what's really crazy. We cover true crime 24/7, 365. Now, it's all known that, Trump's going to deport all the illegal migrants, legals, whatever you want to call them. I call them migrants. I'm semi, I don't want to say, hey, they're illegals. I call them migrants. Fair, politically correct. Maybe you don't get censored by just saying migrants. If you just keep saying illegals, they might censor you. Whatever. We'll call migrants, legals. Call them whatever you want. Human beings that cross in the United States illegally. Call them whatever you want. It's no secret that migrants and these invaders, I see it. Yeah, shoot the name. Shoot the name. I saw invaders. Invaders too. Illegal aliens, and aliens. refugees, border jumpers, border bandits, lawbreakers, this place of trash. You get what I mean, right? I'm going to tell you something that's crazy. And I'm a proponent of this crazy proposal, though. Trump spoke today. And you know what he said? He said, and I'm shocked to the core, and I'm co-signing this idea. Trump said not only the migrants being deported, but American citizens that are habitual criminals and violent criminals, he said they should be deported. He said American citizens, habitual criminals, violent criminals that keep getting arrested should be deported from the United States. I've never heard a president say that before, ever. And guess what? That's a great idea. He says these people are a burden on the taxpayer. Put them in another country. Get out of here. If you're going to commit violent crimes and prey on citizens of the United States continuously, some people get chances. I made mistakes. I made some mistakes. I got a few chances, and I've been pretty good ever since my last mistake, going on like a decade now. Living productively, paying my taxes, though you might get rid of income tax too. Some of you might not have to pay taxes anymore coming up. He might even eliminate federal income tax and impose tariffs and say that's American people shouldn't pay for things that are going on overseas, but the people that are doing business with us should pay us. They should pay us. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if that's like a wishful thinking or what. I'm on board for getting rid of federal income tax. I mean, Florida here, we don't even have state income tax. Imagine if you don't have federal income tax. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. That means every single penny that you make out there goes to you in your pocket. So you have more in your pocket, and you can do better things with yourself instead of paying your rate that you pay the IRS. I'm on board with it. Straight up. But what he said today, and I just want to play this one clip before we get into the Tren de Aragua, and then I'm jumping all topics. We're talking. This is wild. He's talking about deporting Americans that commit crimes. I'm for it. Sign me up to help deport the criminals.
They're very dangerous people. They're violent people. I used to say these are more violent than our criminals. In fact, the best part about them is they make our criminals look quite nice, actually, by comparison. They are very violent people. We also have many violent criminals in our country, however, that did not necessarily come here illegally, but have been arrested 30 times, 35 times, 41, 42 times in a couple of cases, 25 times, 18 times, many for murder, other heinous charges such as pushing people into subways. As the train's coming along at 45 miles an hour, boom, you get pushed into the subway. They had it last week. Hitting them in the head with baseball bats while they're not looking, punching old ladies in the face, knocking them unconscious and stealing their purse. They even break into apartments and rape elderly women and beat up elderly men, beat them to hell. And I don't want these violent repeat offenders in our country any more than I want illegal aliens from other countries who misbehave. And I say, and this is subject to getting it approved, but if they've been arrested many, many times, they're repeat offenders by many numbers, I want them out of our country. I also will be seeking permission to do so. We're going to get approval, hopefully, to get them the hell out of our country along with others. Let them be brought to a foreign land and maintained by others for a very small fee as opposed to being maintained in our jails for massive amounts of money, including the private prison companies that charge us a fortune. Now, let them be brought out of our country and let them live there for a while. Let's see how they like it. You'll see crime all over the country dry up. Essentially, that's what Venezuela and other countries are doing. They're getting rid of their criminals and putting them into the United States of America. And their crime is down by almost 80%. We're going to restore law and order in America, and we want to bring back the death penalty for these horrible people that kill people. They kill people. It's always a tough thing to say because I don't like it. Nobody likes it. But if you don't do it, we're just looking for trouble.
Wow. First time I've ever heard a U.S. president say U.S. criminals that been in and out of the system continuously, violence, deport them. And I'm 100% in agreement with that. They played us in these other countries like Venezuela. Venezuela played the United States in the last 3 years What they did was literally released all their prisons and sent the worst of the worst to us. Our administration at the time accepted it. It's horrible. Well, Trump's thinking. He's like, okay, well, we'll do the same thing. We'll empty out our jails and prisons. Now, that's going to be subjected to debate because, technically, I could be the one that be out of there, because I made mistakes. They might say I'm a violent criminal. I have no violent on my jacket, but they might say, it just depends. But criminals, I'm 100% support of criminals, violent criminals, being put out of this country because those private prison industrial complex is profit while out the wazoo, costing the taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. You know how much money you would save in this country? We would save over $100 billion. I think the Federal Bureau of Prisons budget itself is like $80 billion a year. You know how much money we could save? That's the smart thing to do. If you want to save some money, and that's what the plan is to do, is cost cut across government, across the board, and make government less and cut all these wasteful spending. That's one thing you could do. How many chances does someone get? Yeah, so I'm sure the courts will rule that unconstitutional, right? I'm for it. Get the violent criminals out. Get the knuckleheads out. Every single mass shooting and case that we talk about on JLR Investigates, literally all of them are, thank you for the Chihuahua legal Mexican dog from Spike. Thank you. Facts. Trump feelings. Most of these criminals that committed these mass shootings lately are habitual criminals that were either on parole, on probation, or have a jacket longer than my jacket arm right here. I got a long arm. They got a crazy criminal record dating back decades. When is enough to stop these people and set the tone? Because, if you start deporting people that commit crimes, it's a deterrence. People might think twice before they commit a crime ever again. People are getting used to it. They get a slap on the wrist. Now, these people, Tren de Aragua, oh, they're bad. They're the worst of the worst. They rounded up in this pop-up party. Pop-up party. Here it is. The pop-up party. Where are we at? Here we go. Tren de Aragua. Video released by the DEA's Rocky Mountain Division showed a white bus full of busted gang members being escorted on the snowy roads. Here they are. You're busted. Get out. Oh, look who we got. The borders are. One thing about Homan, the difference between Homan and Mayorkas, Homan has already shown, not only is Homan was a border agent, and he was out there in the field, but Homan is out there. He's literally out there in his own fatigues. And he's out there in the streets of Chicago right now. The borders are rounding people up. He's out there, boots on the ground. Got to respect someone that is boots on the ground in one of those higher positions. He's there. He's not scared. I mean, he got security around him, but he's out there. He's out there. Now, what in the world? Oh, look. Here's a list. By the way, ICE has been rounding up, I think, like 2,800 people just in the last few days. 2,800 people. 2,800 criminals. But the fearmongers in the cities are like, oh, they're going to come for the women and children. No, they're not. No, they're not. Their priority right now, Operation, what was that operation called? We called the operation. Send them back. Return to sender. Operation Return to Sender. We got to remember that. Operation Return to Sender. Of all the people that have been rounded up before, so far in the last week, have you seen women and children getting rounded up? I haven't. I haven't seen one woman. Well, yeah, I've seen some criminal women. Not children. Not families. These people, look at the type of people they're rounding up. Case in point. Here we go. Arrested by ICE, Seattle, on January 25th, 2 days ago. Convicted of, you see, this guy. So a child has been saved. A child has been saved. Let's look at the next one. Here you go. Seattle. So they're ICE is, I thought Seattle was a sanctuary city. ICE is in Seattle rounding people up. Fentanyl. See, all these people thought they would go to like cities where they can blend in or they know they're going to get slaps on the wrist. ICE is going right in there. And nobody stops ICE. Nobody has been stopping ICE because you don't want to comply with these sanctuary cities and the jails. Okay, ICE will just go around the neighborhoods. Buffalo. Suspected ties to ISIS. Imagine this, ISIS. Look at this guy. This is ISIS. They just arrested an ISIS the other day, January 24th. MS-13 gang member, Los Angeles, ICE. So here we've got ICE in Los Angeles, ICE in Buffalo, ICE in Seattle. They're rounding these criminals up. Thank God. MS-13. Do you want these people on our streets? Do you want this guy on the streets? You want this guy on the streets? You want this guy on the streets? Do you want this guy on the streets? No. No. Here's another one. Here you go. Oh, yeah, just commit a murder in Mexico and then come over to the United States and hide in Los Angeles. See what I'm saying? Get out. Kick rocks. Look at this guy. New Orleans. The other one was Los Angeles. Now we got New Orleans, Los Angeles, Buffalo, Seattle. We got all the cities. ICE is all over the place. Atlanta. Assault on a female. Keep it going. Here they are. Boston. Convicted of manslaughter. Arrested. 3 counts of aggravated DUI. Phoenix. So the point is, if we would have had the same administration or the same beating of the drum, these people would have been back out on the streets. They would have been on the streets. So they are arresting people. Tren de Aragua arrested. 50 members. 50 members of Tren de Aragua. This is what the DEA acting administrator Derek Maltz told the New York Post. We want the country to know that we all support the president's priority to round up the most dangerous illegal criminals. None of those people that we just showed deserves another chance in this country. Are you kidding me? Coming to our land? Our country? The land of the free? And you want to sit there and prey on Americans at the taxpayers' expense? No. You get 0 chances. 0. Now, I'll tell you, I am a hardliner when it comes to people in the United States illegally. But I will be honest, I don't necessarily support people to get deported that have been living in this country productively and been in the country for a while. I think everyone that's been coming across the country in the last 3 years should be automatically kicked out under the Biden administration. But I think people that have been around 10 years and been in this country and or have families and are working and paying taxes, I don't think they should be deported. And I don't think the government's going to do that. I don't think the Trump administration's going to do that. Why? Why would they do that? Bad optics anyway. Get the criminals. There's so many criminals out there. You don't need to go after those families and everything like that. Get the criminals. I'd rather have American criminals deported than people that crossed in the United States illegally that are raising families and staying out of trouble. I'd rather have the criminals gone than them. I support anyone with the American dream. Now, I do say, moving forward, you need to do the stuff legally. You need to go through that process and come through. But it is what it is. It is what it is from back. It's you just can't go and just start ripping people out of their homes 10 years, that came in 10 years ago that work in construction sites and working at jobs and again, paying taxes and have zero arrests or no problems, why would you kick them out? But kick out the criminals that continue to, commit crime and crime and crime and crime. And if you're an American criminal and you commit crime, kick them out before you kick out the other people. Maybe that's what Trump's going to do. Possibly. It sounds like that's the plan here. Get all the criminals out first. Get the criminals out. Gone. Get them out. Get them out. Crime might go down. We might have a safe world. We don't have to worry about shootings at Elkhart, Indiana, and shootings all over the place. Pray to God that there's no shooting at the Super Bowl this year. Let's hope and pray. The citizens of this country must feel safe every day throughout the country. One of my goals is to help build an army of good to fight evil. That's what the DEA administrator says. The first migrant roundups, part of an operation dubbed Return to Sender, are focusing on migrants who have been caught with crimes or have been ordered deported by a judge. That's who they're focusing on. The ones that have been ordered deported by a judge. Lindsey Graham said it was 1.4 million. I've been hearing 700,000. So we'll just hedge it in between. 1 million. 1 million. 1 million. 1 million people have already been ordered to be removed. Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua has been terrorizing the Denver suburb of Aurora for the last few years. A population with just under 400,000. Taking over apartment complexes and neighborhoods. And they got sent back. And so that's a good thing. It is a good thing to see these migrants, these illegals, these criminals, these gang members off our streets. It's happening all over the place now.
Agents interrupted a party at a makeshift nightclub around 5 o'clock this morning, arresting nearly 50 people. Drugs, weapons, and cash were also seized. Your reporter Andrew Hodmer joins us live now with new details.
Yeah, guys, 49 people were detained in that early action. It was a DEA raid, and ICE was a part of it. 41 of those 49 were found by ICE to be in the country illegally, but we aren't sure how many of the 41 undocumented or 49 individuals that were detained have ties to the Tren de Aragua gang and just how deep those ties go. Something immigration advocates say is a little bit of a concern, especially as these raids become more numerous across the country. The Drug Enforcement Administration's Rocky Mountain Field Division taking almost 50 people into custody after a raid early Sunday morning.
DEA has been working on TDA here in the Denver metro area since this past summer. So this has been a priority for us for a number of months, and we've been tracking these guys for that entire time.
Amid the 49 taken into custody, 41 were determined by ICE to be in the country illegally. But the DEA says some are affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua.
The people at the club last night, it was a mix of people. And so their status is still being determined.
As of Sunday night, those 41 individuals are in ICE custody, which concerns Colorado immigration advocate Raquel Lane Arellano.
When people go into ICE custody, they don't get access to due process in the same way that they do in the criminal justice system.
She tells CBS Colorado that it isn't advocacy for the criminal element picked up, but rather those with clean records that now may face deportations and the downstream issues that might arise because of it.
They are not going to call the police if they think the police is going to report them to ICE.
As immigration raids and stops are recurring across the country as President Trump begins his second week of his second administration.
It just puts the entire immigrant community under the scrutiny. And unfortunately, it paves the way for policies that are actually really dangerous.
Now, we are going to figure out in the coming days the degrees to the ties to the TDA gang that some of these individuals have. But these raids are becoming more regular, and the thing that Lane Arellano tells us is concerning is that combination of DEA and ICE that were a part of the enforcement here. In Aurora, I'm Andrew Hodner, covering Colorado First.
Andrew, as you mentioned, more to come from this story. We know you'll stay on top of it for us. Thank you.
DEA going after TDA. And then you heard that ACLU, proponent, oh yeah, they got due process. Come on. These illegals don't get due process. Screw your due process. Oh, yeah, get due process. They get rights. They get rights. They get all. No. No, enough is enough. You've been taking advantage of this. And I don't like this thing where people have been saying, oh, our country's based off immigration and everything like that. 200 years ago, it's a lot different than it is now. It's a lot different, and that doesn't apply anymore. If you have open borders, you don't have a country, period. And the United States citizens, the majority, said enough is enough. And that's what we got going on. But you know what? The raids are actually happening. Sometimes these politicians just talk the crap and they say they're going to do this and that and the other, and they don't end up doing nothing or very lightly. But it seems like from January 20th at 12:01 p.m. on, the raids have been coming. Not just here, but like we said, ICE has been in Los Angeles, Buffalo, New Orleans, Seattle, Denver, Chicago, Boston. And I want to share something, but I want to talk one more thing about this. Oh, I want to share something good. This is juicy. This is juicy stuff. I want to share something else very, very juicy. I might as well share the juicy material now. Let me get it out here now. This is big, folks, because we talked about sanctuary cities. And what sanctuary cities have we talked about on JLR Investigates? Well, Denver, Mayor Johnston, Chicago, Brandon Johnson, Johnson & Johnston, New York City, Eric Adams, Boston, Michelle Wu. And we talked about all of them. We've made videos about all of them. Well, guess what? Dun, dun, dun. All four of those mayors have just been ordered to come and testify before Congress. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, Denver Mayor Mike Johnson, New York City Mayor Eric Adams. They all have to come and appear before Congress. And they all got letters. This is going to Mayor Johnston, the Denver mayor. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is investigating sanctuary jurisdictions across the United States and their impact on public safety and the effectiveness of federal efforts to enforce the immigration laws of the United States. Sanctuary jurisdictions and their misguided and obstructive policies hinder the ability of federal law enforcement officers to make safe arrests and remove dangerous criminals from American communities, making Americans less safe. Denver is a sanctuary jurisdiction that refuses to fully cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. To provide much needed oversight on this matter, the committee requests documents and information related to the sanctuary policies of Denver. Additionally, we invite you to testify at a public hearing on the matter before the committee on February 11th, 2025 at 10 a.m. in room HVC 210 of the U.S. House Visitor Center. Oh, I should go up there, man. I should go up there. Dude, these people will be coming in the hallways. Oh, it's about to get real. The mayors have to go in front of Congress on February 11th. Oh, that's going to be juicy. That means the federal government, and possibly that's the beginning stages of these mayors. If they don't start complying with ICE, they could be in some big doo-doo. And when I say doo-doo, I'm talking about they could be held in contempt or charged criminally. And that's what Tom Homan has been saying. He's going to charge these people, these politicians that defy ICE. It could be happening, folks, before our eyes. Talk the talk, walk the walk. You talk and you walk. And that's what they seem like they're doing. So we're going to have to monitor that. Matter of fact, I'm going to the Super Bowl. Maybe I have to divert up there. What's going on here? What do we got here? We got another clip.
Here in Colorado, an early morning raid happened yesterday, taking nearly 50 people into custody, including members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua.
And Fox 31's Carly Moore joins us live from DEA headquarters with more details about that. Carly, good morning. Kirk, Andrea, good morning. Yeah, the DEA said this has been a months-long investigation trying to get these criminals behind bars here. And they said that this would have happened regardless of who's in the Oval Office. But the DEA did post pictures and videos of this raid. Take a look here. You can see DEA seized guns, drugs, and large quantities of money, placing 49 people under arrest, 41 of them determined by ICE to be in the country illegally. The videos posted on X show dozens of people in handcuffs surrounded by law enforcement in snowy conditions at that makeshift nightclub near Federal and 65th. They say the nightclub sets up on certain weekends and is invitation only, used by TDA and their associates. Those in custody could be seen bussed away from the location with crime tape, beer bottles, and broken windows left behind.
We took people who were selling drugs. There was potential prostitution at the location. There was guns at the location. We know they're involved in much higher level drug trafficking, and a lot of them went to jail. This is the normal course of business for DEA, right? So this was a DEA operation targeting drug traffickers. In this case, they happened to be illegal aliens, and our ICE friends took care of that part of it. But we're going to continue to go after drug traffickers wherever we find them.
So we also spoke to James Albee, a law enforcement procedure expert, who says immigration enforcement was not the focus of this particular search warrant, and he does not believe people without felony charges could have been caught up in this raid. We did get a statement from Governor Polis's office on Sunday that said the governor welcomes the news that guns and drugs were removed from Colorado streets. Governor Polis is committed to making Colorado one of the top 10 safest states. He hopes law enforcement continues to coordinate to keep guns and drugs out of our communities. Experts say this incident shows that the TDA gangs have really got away from Aurora. Again, this situation happening in Adams County, so no borders there. We also know that no shots were fired and no injuries were reported during this incident. Live at DEA headquarters, Carly Moore, Fox 31.
All right, yeah, and interesting to see, so much focus has been in Aurora, but to see this taking place in other areas as well is something interesting. We'll continue to follow. Thank you, Carly.
You know what's even more interesting? You heard the governor, Polis. The governor is on board with it. Democrat governor. And we've heard him say, he's not in support of families being ripped out and rounded up by ICE, but he claims he's 100% support of the criminals, the gang members being rounded up. So you don't hear like the governor of Colorado acting like the governor of Illinois, Pritzker. Pritzker's like, he's a big dude, by the way. Pritzker, a big belly, big dude. He's like, you're going to come through me. You're going to come through me. But Pritzker wants these criminals in Illinois. Why? I think the cartel has totally compromised him. Oh, we got an update. Magnolia just sent me an update. January 27, 2025. Oh, so this is interesting too, folks. It seems like ICE has been openness and transparency, and they've been posting their numbers every day. I've never seen this before in my life. The amount of arrests that they're doing. Now, each day, the numbers have been going up. The amount of people arrested, and they just posted this. And Magnolia just sent this to me. Look at this. Today, January 27th, 1,179 arrests. 853 detainers lodged. You know what that is? That's a couple hundred up from yesterday. And that's 500 up from the day before. So they're going up in numbers. We will be monitoring. This could turn into 1,400 tomorrow. This could turn into 1,500. By the end of the month, this could be up to 3,000 a day. 3,000 people a day. Now, 3,000 people a day, yeah, it's still going to take a while to get those 11 million that crossed the United States illegally just in the last 4 years. Oh, and let me just put it this way, too. I'm also 100% in support of any criminal person that's in the country illegally, that's been in this country, came in 20 years ago or 10 years ago. If you're committing crimes, yes, deportation. Out of here. Get out. How are they going to get out, though? How are they going to get out? Well, apparently, they'll get rounded up by ICE. What we've been hearing is some of these county sheriffs been letting ICE use their facilities. And then they're starting to get on a flight and they're starting to get out. They're literally getting on military planes. That was the incident that we heard yesterday with Colombia. Colombian president was like, come on a plane, come on, we'll accept them. And then when the planes took off, then he went and act funny. Once the planes were in the air, ready to land in Colombia, like, you can't land. And that's what caused that all, it triggered Trump and said tariffs. And then they actually backpedaled and said, oh, yeah, we'll take them. Of course, Colombian coffee, they would cripple the economy if you put tariffs on coffee. Again, Americans will get coffee elsewhere. Ooh, I'm on a roll tonight, ain't I? People are like, JLR, you going tonight? Yeah, we going hard tonight. Hard in the paint tonight. Migrants. Gets me excited. Gets me, pumped up. Dude, I want every single one of these migrant criminals gone. They're a cancer. Get rid of these cockroaches. These disgusting people. Get rid of them. Deport them. Where do they go? How do they get out of here? Well, ABC News did a report on planes. Planes. They're getting on planes. They're getting on planes.
Major developments on immigration just days after President Trump declared an emergency at the southern border. A military buildup underway. The first of some 1,500 active duty troops have arrived. Marines from Camp Pendleton arriving with heavy equipment and Osprey aircraft. And for the first time, military planes are making deportation flights. This C-17 at Fort Bliss, Texas. Migrants in restraint seen boarding a flight to Guatemala. A new image from inside another flight taking off from Tucson, Arizona. Meantime, the administration saying that arrests are ramping up. More than 500 undocumented migrants arrested in multiple cities over the last 24 hours. And tonight, the president's new border czar, Tom Homan, saying this is only the beginning. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, leads us off tonight.
Only the
Tonight,
beginning.
for the first time, U.S. military aircraft flying undocumented migrants out of the country as President Donald Trump launches his deportation campaign. The White House releasing these pictures, dozens of migrants in chains boarding C-17 aircraft. The flights landing in Guatemala carrying roughly 160 people, men and women.
Deportation's going very well.
Today, the Trump administration's new border czar, Tom Homan, telling me it's only the beginning. Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
This as the military buildup on the border escalates. 1,500 active duty personnel, Army and Marines deploying. Their mission to support enhanced detection and monitoring efforts and repair and replace physical barriers. ABC's Matt Rivers on the ground in San Diego.
So right now, these Marines are offloading concertina wire. They're going to bring it right down to the border to reinforce it. It's clearly meant to be a deterrent against future migration. And these kinds of supply flights, we might see a lot more of them over the coming months.
Far from the border, ICE raids and arrests in cities across the country in the days since the president was sworn in, some of them likely long planned, but a clear sign of what's to come. Boston, New York, and Newark, New Jersey. Newark's mayor saying agents raided a small business without a warrant, detaining American citizens in the process.
People were fingerprinted. Pictures of their IDs and face were taken there. When I got this information, I was appalled.
The Trump administration releasing numbers showing 538 arrests over the past 24 hours. The White House saying they're initially targeting undocumented immigrants who have committed violent crimes. But Homan acknowledges not everyone swept up in the raids fits that profile. And he has a stark warning to anyone who's in the country illegally. So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes, but But you're going to see the numbers steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population.
So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table, because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
Homan was very clear that those committing violent crimes will be deported first, and acknowledges that the show of force, these strong warnings to all undocumented immigrants, are meant to send a message that they should self-deport, since it would take a very long time and massive amounts of manpower and money to deport an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants. Whit?
Martha Raddatz, thank you.
Great report. I don't really like ABC that much. Hi, Jeff. Thank you. Get them out, Jeff says. Jeff says get them out. Oh, you got to look at some of these beauties here. I got a few photos of some of the people that have been rounded up. Criminals. Criminals. The criminals. Round them up and kick them out. Be gone. Peace out, buddy. It's nice knowing you. Don't come back. Get out. See you later, pal. We already showed you. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this. How many times have he been in and out of jail? Prisons. Mental institutions. Be gone. Look at you. Peace out, criminal. Get out. Get out. Get out. We don't want you in this country. Dude, I knew once this new administration come in, I knew we would be rocking and rolling with these arrests. We literally have to go. I don't know where to go. There's so many places we could go. They're all actually saying it's happening in Miami. Oh, by the way, there is Border Patrol that's actually on I-75 in Marion County, in the middle. I saw Florida Highway, or FDLE. Those bumblebee-looking cars with Border Patrol trucks. So they're plotting. They're plotting. There's plotting. And you're nowhere. You know what? Nowhere in this country are illegal safe. Not even in sanctuary cities. They're showing that you could go to a sanctuary city, yeah, and you might be in the jail there, and they might not comply with ICE. But as soon as you hit that street, we will find you. We will track you down. We will handcuff you. We will put you on a plane, and peace out. See ya. Out. You're gone. Go, 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 go. Gone. I got a clip. Homan just spoke. I got a clip. Another clip of Homan. While we're at Homan, let's talk. Let's talk about Homan. He's a bulldog. He's a bulldog, man. And he's not scared to speak. He's not scared to... I'm a little concerned about Homan because maybe the cartel probably has him on a hit list. A little concerned about Homan's safety here, but he's a bulldog, isn't he?
All right, Tom. Talk to us about the day. I'll just hold on to it.
Look, it's a great day. This is all government approach. Look, I've been doing this 3.5 decades, and what President Trump has put together is amazing. Here in Chicago, and it's the first operation of this size and complexity. We had all a government approach. We had U.S. Marshals, DEA, FBI, ATF, ICE, ERO, and HSI. I mean, it's all a government approach, so we had a lot of resources come to look for public safety threats. As President Trump committed to, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats, and that's what we did today. We arrest a lot of bad guys. I mean, last time I was down there, I think we got at least 7 sex offenders, serious sex offenders, child sex offenders. We got 2 murderers, illegal aliens who are convicted of murder. We got numerous Tren gang members. We got, aggravated assault suspects, convictions. So we took a lot of bad guys off the street today with the help of all these other agencies. And what's great about these agencies is not only the force multiplier, but if we find dope, DA can take that case and prosecute it. We find guns, especially with TDA, ATF to take that case and prosecute it. So it's just not about arresting criminal aliens for them. We're going to gather some prosecutions on this. As a matter of fact, we got 2 criminal warrants getting ready to be executed now. There are going to be prosecutions. So look, this great operation, it was well targeted. And one thing we showed today, I think, to the American people, we recorded a lot of it. It's not neighborhood sweeps looking for people different than us. It isn't racial profiling like you read on the left media. This is a well-planned operation. I walked through the command center. I saw the targeting system. I saw how they spent hundreds of hours working these targets up, making sure they have a criminal history and immigration history, and we're likely to find them. A lot of work went into this, and they did a great job. We took a lot of public safety threats off the street here in Chicago. This city is a lot safer today because of what ICE and the other agencies did here today.
Aurora, I don't know if you've been briefed on that. They had a big bust out there too. Nightclub, 50 plus illegals, guns, drugs. Any update on that? Have you been briefed or?
There's things going on in Aurora, and there's more things going on in Aurora. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Last thing. What I noticed today, your job would be made a hell of a lot easier if the state and the local would let you into the jails. The fact that you guys have to go out here, you've talked about this a lot. You have to go out into the community to get these guys because Governor Pritzker doesn't accept your detainers.
No, he's too busy lying to the American people because he put a social media post out the other day saying ICE agents were in this elementary school. You want to talk about putting fear in community? He says, I'm putting fear in community? To make a false claim that ICE is in a school, give me a break. He should have been with us today. I wish he would have been with us today to see exactly how we do and how we operate. But look, these bad guys should have been handed over to us right out of Cook County Jail. That way they're not back in the public to reoffend. Look at these child sex predators. They're on the streets of Chicago. It would have been so much easier to notify ICE. One agent can arrest one bad guy in the safety and security of the jail. But when we release a sexual predator to the street, it puts the officer at risk, and now we got to arrest him in his turf. It puts the children in the community at risk, and it puts the alien himself at risk because anything can happen in a street arrest. So I wish they let us in the jail. It's more efficient, it's safer for the community, safer for everybody. To release a public safety threat back into the public when you hand them over to us, it's just ridiculous. It's not common sense. And I hope they come to the table and work with us.
If they don't, will you be able to use the federal supremacy clause, you think, to go around them? And
we're going to do everything we can to fight back in sanctuary cities, because sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. That's all it is. They'll tell you that they're protecting victims and witnesses of immigration crime, to feel free to come to law enforcement, not be afraid they're working with ICE. That's a bunch of crap. The victim and witness of crimes don't want the bad guy back in their neighborhood either. It's ridiculous. That whole concept's ridiculous. We want to talk to the guy they locked in a jail cell. That's what we want to talk to. They locked him in a jail cell for obvious public safety reasons. When you're done, give him to us. Protect the immigrant community. Where's that illegal alien likely to recommit? In the very community he lives, the immigrant community. So protect the American communities, protect the immigrant communities, protect our officers. Give us the bad guy in the safety and security county jail. It just makes sense. Law enforcement should work with law enforcement.
Thank you, sir.
Got it.
Homan, he's out in the field, and he said, Aurora, Colorado, they got more to come. More to come. While he's in Chicago, and he's saying Chicago is more safe today now that they've rounded up a bunch. But it's only getting started, folks. Mass deportations. Greg Abbott, governor of Texas. Now, Tren de Aragua, Venezuelan gang. Texas, I think more Venezuelans crossed into Texas than any other state on the southern border. They're fast-forwarding. All these other state National Guards are coming there. The U.S. military's there. The Texas Operation Lone Star is there. Look at this. He tweeted this out just a little bit ago. The Texas Tactical Border Force deployed to the Rio Grande Valley to collaborate with U.S. Border Patrol agents on the border. Texas is working closely with the Trump administration to secure the border and make America safe again. Look at this. Look at this. Helicopters. Texas Tactical Border Force. Texas Tactical Border Force. Because it starts with Texas. And you got a governor in Texas that is 100% on board with the incoming administration. Arizona, not so sure, right? Actually, not at all with Katie Hobbs. New Mexico, I don't think so. California, though, the last clip that we played, they're actually putting wire down there at the San Diego border. That's interesting. And I think Newsom's going to kind of backpedal now because he has his own disaster and he needs the federal government help with the wildfire stuff. So I do think that Newsom is going to play both sides of the fence, though, in his hardline approach, like we're going to Trump-proof California. I don't think it's happening anymore with that Trump-proof in California. They need the administration to help them with their disaster that happened in Los Angeles. And I think, Newsom is on board with the criminals. Not on board, but I don't think he's stopping ICE on the border there in his state. So we'll see what happens there. But I also want to play one more clip out of Texas, because this individual here, Texas, speaks a lot. That's Border Patrol. Actually, this is going on Ore Ventura.
And to talk more about the state of the southern border
No,
as
right
the
here.
first week of the new Trump administration is coming to an end is Lieutenant Chris Oliveras, spokesperson for the Texas Department of Public Safety. Lieutenant, always appreciate you making the time. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me, Natasha.
I want to ask you about this brand new number coming down in just the last 10 minutes or so. ICE reporting 956 arrests today.
That was
And that's
yesterday.
more than 3 times the number of arrests we saw yesterday. What are your comments here?
It is. I think we're actually seeing what this new administration has been talking about, in the course of the last couple of years now, is that they were going to take action on day one, and they did. And we're starting to see that expedited operation as far as looking and locating criminal illegal aliens that are in the country right now. And that's really what people need to understand, is that we're looking for criminals. And I say we're talking about law enforcement across the board, but most importantly, federal agencies such as HSI, Border Patrol, DEA, they're looking for the worst of the worst in these communities. And I can't see how anyone would even dispute that, how they would not want anyone or any law enforcement agency to remove those public safety threats from their community. So we're seeing that right now. But really what really stands out to me, though, is for one, 2 factors. One, we're seeing more of an expedited process in looking for these criminals. And 2, we're seeing transparency, which we didn't have in the last 4 years. And I think that's what really highlights the work that federal agencies are doing, also law enforcement across the country, when they're making these type of arrests, that the American public actually understand what type of people are in their communities and what they're wanted for, what type of crimes they committed. So that in itself, really, that transparency really highlights the work that's being done. It really shows the importance behind it.
Yeah, and to your point, who does not want violent criminals out of their communities? And the numbers completely reflecting that. The vast majority of Americans absolutely support the removal of undocumented violent criminals. I want to get your take. Last hour on Prime, we had Major General William Enyart on our show, and he commented on the reported arrest quota that is going into place now. 75 arrests per ICE field office per day. Let's take a quick listen to his response to this quota.
Anytime you put a quota on a law enforcement officer, that's a bad idea. Law enforcement officers are supposed to use their discretion. And by forcing them to make arrests, you're simply asking for an abuse of their police powers. They're all good people and they work hard. I should say almost all of them are good people and they work hard. But, when you're put under that kind of pressure, you make mistakes.
What is your take on this?
Well, I do agree to some point that he made there, as far as we do have a quota, you do force law enforcement to reach that quota. There is going to be mistakes made. I'm not aware of any quotas that are being set by federal law enforcement. I'm unaware of that. What I can tell you, at least from our end in Texas, our law enforcement, our state troopers, our criminal investigators, we don't have a quota. We want to prioritize public safety. We want to go out there and do the job and really focus on just traditional police work, and that is looking for criminals. And I'll give you a prime example. This past Friday, our special agents arrested 2 criminal illegal immigrants that were from Mexico, and they were wanted for sex crimes of children. These are the worst of the worst that we're trying to remove. So as far as quotas, I'm not aware of any quotas from any law enforcement agency. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to speak on that. But I can tell you from law enforcement in general, we don't have quotas. We want to prioritize the safety of our communities, and that's looking for criminals. But again, obviously, mistakes can be made when there is more pressure. But again, we need to focus on what's the most important thing right now, and that is trying to remove these criminal immigrants from these communities.
Yeah, and Homan has said absolutely criminals first. He has also said there is a certain number, a limited number of these criminals. Do you feel with a quota of perhaps 75 arrests per field office per day that non-criminals will start to get caught up in this?
Well, I mean, I think Tom Homan made it very clear is that that's why you need cooperation from elected officials and from law enforcement across the country. And the most advantageous process would be is arresting criminal illegal immigrants that are in the jail right now, as opposed to being released. And now you have to go look for them in a community where it's much more dangerous for the officer, much more dangerous for the migrant themselves and for the community. And also, Tom Homan said it very, very clear as well, is that when you go look for these criminals in the communities, there may be other illegal immigrants that are associated with those criminals that are subject to removal as well because they're in the country illegally. So the best process is to avoid all of that conflict is to work with law enforcement, especially federal law enforcement, and actually have these individuals that are in the jails right now before they get released and have them removed. That'd be a much safer process, a much more common sense process to actually remove some of these criminals from the country.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com.
Good report by News Nation. News Nation has been doing a wonderful job covering the border. Lots of people, Ori Ventura, who was at the beginning there, I thought that we were playing that, Ali Bradley. They do a lot of good border coverage, and I like watching them and keeping informed. The more you know, folks. But yeah, he has a point. Dude, all these cities have to do, because you know the sanctuary cities are going to cry, well, there's people that were legal or people that aren't the criminals that got rounded up in these sweeps. Okay, yeah, but maybe if you start complying with ICE at the jail so they can get the criminals out of the jail so they don't have to go hunt these criminals down, they go inside other people's homes and other people get caught up in the crossfire. But it looks like ICE is on the move. And that was the point of this live today. Violent criminal gangs, migrant gangs, mass arrests, massive arrests. It's happening, folks. So we're probably going to be very busy on this channel daily giving you updates. Updated numbers. Again, Magnolia posted. Yesterday was 900 and something. Today it is 1,179 arrests. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what communities get raided tomorrow. I'm sure there's a lot that will go down overnight. This is a topic that we know extensively about. We don't know it all, but we're pretty ahead of the curve here on JLR Investigates, considering boots on the ground. We just don't jump on the bandwagon now about this topic. We've been totally invested in it on this channel, and we will continue to do so. Enough for me to probably be boots on the ground somewhere. Just can't figure out where to go yet. Should I go to the border, or should I go to one of these cities? I don't like the cold, but I'll go. I want to follow along. I want to be embedded with ICE. Well, ICE embed me, please, and let me follow them and film and document what's going on. We have a big platform we can share. And maybe I'll try to reach out to some ICE offices and ask if I can be embedded or at least follow them to arrest people, so I can stand there in the streets in my camera and show you ICE in action. Might happen. But regardless if they allow me to embed them or not, it's not against the law for me to follow where ICE goes and get out on my own initiative on a public street and start filming what is going on so we all can see it happening before our eyes. Massive arrest. It will continue. I think it escalates. And anyone that defies this is going to be brought into Congress, explaining themselves and or possibly criminally charged. Remains to be seen who those people could be. We cover the border 24/7, 365. We say no to Tren de Aragua and all those criminal cartels, and we say no to the NGOs. I say no to the NGOs. I say no to all the criminals. Deport American criminals. Get them out. Get them out. Get them out. Thank you for watching. Reporting from the JLR Batcave. We cover the border 24/7, 365. Nothing else going on. So I'll be monitoring this terrible shooting in Elkhart, and anything else that comes up with this topic, you'll hear it here. So hit that sub button. Thank you, people that contributed, members, subs, your comments. Appreciate all of you. This is a topic that all of you want to know more about. We're educating. We're spreading the word. We're using our platform to make a difference. We are good on this channel. We're good, and we hate evil. We'll talk soon. Be safe out there. Love your loved ones. Stay vigilant, my friends. Rocky world out there. It's going to get rocking and rolling in these cities. Talk to you soon.